Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guests are Gary and Sara from GSG Appraisal Management. Gary, Sara, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having us.
Great for you to be here. Okay, so what does GSG Appraisal Management LLC do?
So an appraisal management company is a firewall between lenders and appraisers. So an appraisal management company recruits and vets and reviews appraisers, and then we maintain a panel of appraisers. And then once we have the panel of appraisers, we take appraisal orders from clients.
Right.
We give them out to the appraisers on a rotation, and then we manage those orders, and then those orders get delivered to us when we deliver them to the client.
Okay. And then the AMCs, appraisal management, companies, how did that all get started?
So AMCs have been around for a long time, but they got really popular after Frank Dodd went into effect, which was legislation that came out in 2010. And Sara and I were running an appraisal shop, which is just a group of appraisers working together. And we saw that a lot of the business was being given, like all the relationships we had built over the years, was being given to appraisal management companies to manage. And we just saw the handwriting on the wall that that was going to be the wave of the future.
Okay, so just to explain a little bit, in the past, before 2010, if a lender wanted an appraisal done, they would just simply call Joe Appraiser from down the street, order the appraisal direct, and would be talking back and forth.
Yes.
So now you're the buffer, you're the middleman, and woman.
Thank you.
Where if somebody wants an appraisal done, they contact you, and then you pick the appraiser. So there's no coercement, there's no undue influence.
There's
the whole thinking?
Yes, there's no conflict of interest.
There's a layer of protection there.
Before that, if the appraiser couldn't please the client, there was always the fear that they wouldn't get future work.
Right.
In our case, their future work is not dependent upon appraising it for
and
what
let
it's
me
sold
explain
for.
that. So if you're a company and you're giving 20 appraisals a month to a specific person, well, that person now is $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month of income. So if they turn around and say, hey, I need this value, now they're shaking in the boots that they could, not that anybody did that, mind you, it's theoretical, but that could happen, right?
It could happen.
Right. Okay. Sara, what do you do with the company?
Sure. I'm the operations manager and the compliance officer. So the operations manager just means that I'm the one who interacts with the clients and the appraisers. I'm making sure that the orders are coming in from the clients and being passed along correctly to the appraisers. I'm doing the assigning, incoming emails, just a lot of the office processing work. As the compliance officer, I'm the one that you contact if something was breached.
Right.
If there was any compliance issues that had come up, or there was undue influence that an appraiser wanted to report. And I'm also the one who does the review of the new onboarding for the appraiser. So I'll review those appraisal reports.
Okay. And then Gary, you mentioned you were an appraiser, excuse me.
Yes.
And then you formed the AMC, right?
Yes.
And in your background?
My background is just this. I was at a very young age. My father was an appraiser, so I got hired in the office. And
Her uncle was an appraiser. Her uncle's uncle was an
My brother is an
appraiser.
appraiser.
Hold on, this is my cousin Vinny.
This is my cousin Vinny.
This is my cousin Vinny. Great movie. Watch it. My cousin Vinny.
And
I get
she
the
is
reference.
Mona Lisa Vito.
There you go.
So I'm not joking when I say my
Right.
father is an appraiser and my brother is an appraiser. So that's how I got harangued into the industry.
That's
So
great. I
here
love
am.
it. I love it. Okay, so let's go through the progression. An appraisal's ordered. It goes to you. How does an appraiser get picked? How does that work?
Absolutely. So we have a tier rating. So if you are a top tier appraiser, then you're on top rotation. So when order comes in, I go through my top tier appraisers to see which one needs to be assigned to. If hypothetically that order gets declined by all of my top tier appraisers, then I go to my next tier appraisers and go through that rotation and so on. So the tier is based upon the appraiser's communication, quality, and on-time delivery.
Okay. So it's a rotation that one specific appraiser, just can't be picked by the lender over and over again.
Right.
It's a rotation.
That's
And that's where
Yes.
that buffer,
That's right.
Yes.
comes into
Now,
play.
we have preferred panels. So we'll have clients who have provided us with a list
Right.
of appraisers that they prefer, whether that be due to history or the
Right.
quality that appraiser provides. And we'll set up a preferred panel for a specific bank. So then when an order comes in from that bank, we'll go through the preferred panel first. But again, the bank is not choosing who
Right.
the appraiser is. We're
Right. 'Cause
that
on a preferred panel, that could be 5, 6, or 7.
Right.
So
That's
it's
right.
still around.
There's
robin
still a
type of thing.
rotation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. And the territories that you guys work in?
We're all of Pennsylvania and we're all of New Jersey.
Okay.
So we're regional AMC. So we have stuck to the 2 states because there's a lot more quality that you get from a focused, specialized AMC company. I know all about the Poconos.
Right.
I've been to Somerset County. I've been to North Jersey. I vacation in Southern Jersey. So because of my knowledge of the area, it really benefits a bank to have that. And then it benefits the appraisers as well because they feel heard and seen.
Right.
We know that Tioga County is a black hole county. So there's one appraiser that goes there.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not typical, Pat. The typical AMC is nationwide.
Right.
We've kept it intentionally to New Jersey and Pennsylvania because we cater to clients whose lending footprint is Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Okay. Right. Okay. Very good. Yeah. So you just said it was unusual. But yeah, because most of the companies are national type
Mhm.
companies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the biggest peeve that a realtor has is, hey, Joe's coming from, wherever,
Right.
Timbuktu,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
he doesn't know anything or she doesn't
Yeah.
know anything about this area. So
Yeah.
that's a big gripe.
Yeah, when we're doing the rotation, one of our primary criteria is for the appraiser to be in that county.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, how do you add to your appraisal list? Appraiser list.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Absolutely. Well, Gary's been doing soliciting right now with appraisers.
Yeah, a lot of that's word of mouth. A lot of that is referrals from the lenders. And it's just through general knowledge of the real estate business and knowing people, but we also do some cold calling. And then once they're identified, then there's a whole application process where they provide us with all their documents, samples, references,
Right.
and things like that.
Right. And then
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to refer somebody over to you, let's say a lender,
Mhm.
because you already mentioned that
Yeah.
you will take them on, so people can refer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've
a
had
to
small
this.
banks that have referred us their whole panel. Here,
Right.
take our panel and sign up our panel, and that really works well.
Honestly, my favorite appraisers are referred appraisers. Usually they're only referred because they're good.
Right. Right. Okay. Good. Now, a biggie would be what happens if an appraisal doesn't come into value? What is your role and what is the appraiser's role, and who has the final say?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have a whole process that we have put into place
Right.
for compliance reasons. We want to make sure that there's no undue influence that is placed upon the appraiser. So we have a form that we created for when there's an issue when a realtor or the buyer or the seller or the loan officer doesn't agree with the value. So we have a form here that explains how you submit this.
Right.
And then on the next page here, we have a section for you missed the update that I did on, X, Y, or Z. You missed a bathroom. You know what? I've seen it happen.
Right.
And then there's 3 sections here. We limit it to 3 sales for consideration. And this could be, it's normally from the agent, and the agent will say, hey, listen, there's a house that's sold down the street that we think might support the contract price. And we give them that opportunity to submit those. And I've seen appraisers use some of the sales because, again, the appraisers are human
Right.
and they can miss things. So they'll review it. And if that sale did support,
It could be a sale that's not in
the
the MLS.
yeah,
Right.
it could be a private sale, which it's more difficult to use a private sale as an appraiser just because there's not as much information online. But then the appraiser will go through the information provided. They'll put a dated addendum in the report, or they'll, raise the value and explain what they did. And then we deliver that file back to the client. But in the end, to answer your final question, the ultimate say is the appraiser. We, as an IMC company, don't have any influence over the appraiser's decision, for how they.
And that's where that independence, that nasty independence word comes from.
That's
That
right.
You
Yes.
just can't twist an arm, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And what else do we have here? I did have one other question for you. Now, when appraisal does come in, you do review and you make sure everything's right before ultimately the lender will see that, correct?
That's right, yes. So I have a checklist here, and I know you can't see everything on here, but you can see the extent of the review that we do in the office. It goes on for 3 pages, and this includes anything and everything. This includes information to make sure that the contract price is correct, to make sure that there's addendums that were checked, to make sure that there wasn't any seller's assist that was missed. We'll be checking things that an underwriter would. Anything that could be, a risky situation, a liability with a property. We'll review things like zoning to make sure that if a property is legal grandfathered use, that we would make sure that the appraiser put a comment in there that it could be rebuilt if destroyed.
Right.
Just those types of standard things. And then we'll kick that back to the appraiser and say, here, can you check these items? And then we'll wait for that revised report to come in before we deliver it to the client. And then at that point, we'll alert the client, of anything that was, that they needed to know. FHA repairs,
Right.
that type of thing.
Right. Okay, so you're handling ordering, making sure it's independent, so it's going out to a group of people to, round robin type of thing. You review the appraisal to make sure it's correct. If somebody does want to add in their preferred appraiser to a list, that's possible. You'll vet them, for all that. Okay. And then all this came about because there were some not so nice people, forcing appraisers to maybe increase values back in 2005, 6, and 7.
Yes.
And then the government stepped in,
Yes.
basically, and saying,
yeah.
you no longer can talk.
Right.
You lenders can't talk to the appraisers.
Right.
Okay.
So the lenders.
And an industry was formed.
Right.
Yes. So a lender has a choice. They can form a department
Right.
of their own, which has to be separated. A lot of times it's physically separate from the loan officer location, and they will do what an IMC company does. Or they can hire an IMC company who's a separate,
Right.
completely separate, independent. There's a lot to be said for if you were ever audited.
Right.
It's going to be real clean if you order with an IMC company,
Right.
Yeah.
because that there was that layer of protection there.
Yeah.
There was no undue influence placed on the appraiser during the process.
Right.
And it becomes
And
a
cost
single,
too,
it
right?
becomes,
Right.
it's the cost, and it also becomes a single point of contact for appraisals. So if I want an appraisal, I either go to my list of 20 appraisers, I have to pick one, I have to see who's not busy, and then you also have to pay 20 appraisers.
Right.
So in this case, they're either paying us with a single check, or in many cases, we collect right from the borrowers.
Right.
So that takes that headache off of the lender.
Right.
One other thing about collecting from the borrowers is some borrowers are shopping for a loan in many places.
Right.
As soon as we collect, you
Right.
have the deal.
Right.
Locks them in.
Right. And it does make sense. If you're running your own AMC, if you're a lender, you're hiring staff to be able to do that. And like you said, if you get audited, well, now you have to break everything out here.
Right.
You just say, hey, you call
Go
Gary
see-
and Sarah.
go see Gary and Sarah.
It's their problem,
Yeah,
not mine
yeah,
at that point. Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Well, that was super interesting.
Yeah.
I think it was an interesting topic
Yeah.
because most people they think, hey, I'm ordering an appraisal and that's coming, the mortgage company's doing it and
Right.
they're hands-on,
Right.
where really it's not
Right.
on there. So that's good. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And, some appraisers don't like AMCs, but the ones we work with, they really do like AMCs because they want to appraise. They're analysts.
Right.
They're not big on paperwork and administration and accounting, and we do a lot of that for them.
Right.
So they do really enjoy working for us.
Right.
Yeah, and AMC kind of ends up being an advocate for an appraiser.
Right.
So it ends up being a beneficial
Right.
relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like you're taking some work off of their plate
Hmm.
of all the accounting that they have to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
just like a lender, you're taking it, you know, some of the
Right.
accounting and some of that process away.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Now, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and let's say I'm an appraiser and saying, I like you guys, I want to join the team. How would they do that?
So the simplest way is at our website, which is gsgamc.com.
Mhm.
They could also email us main@gsgamc.com.
Okay, great. Well, once again, Sarah, Garrett, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Pat.
And that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe below. I have some great guests, some great content you do not want to miss. Also, leave a comment. Tell me things that you like, that you didn't like, or some topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Remember, this show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed.